scene opens on a shot of San Fransokyo, eerily quiet. Camera pans over the Golden Gate Bridge, shrouded in an unusual stillness. The battle was over. The city was safe, or so we thought. San Fransokyo was silent, too silent. It wasn't the peace of victory. It was the quiet of a held breath, like the world itself was waiting for something to break. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was fundamentally wrong. Then, I saw it. A glitch in reality. A flock of birds, frozen mid-flight for a split second before jolting forward. A delivery bot stuck in a loop, repeating the same 3 steps over and over. The shadows on the pavement seemed to flicker, stretching and snapping back like broken rubber bands. This wasn't a victory. This was just the calm before an even bigger storm. Solin felt it too, a tremor in the very fabric of space. He was certain Umbrax hadn't been defeated. He hadn't vanished. He had fractured reality itself. Back in the lab, the unease followed us. The air was thick with it. Suddenly, the starlight core in Solin's chest began to hum, a low, resonant frequency that made my teeth ache. It wasn't just glowing, it was responding to something, a signal hidden deep within the lab's own energy matrix. My holographic displays, usually so crisp and stable, began to distort, swirling into a chaotic dance of light and data. From the swirling pixels, an image began to form. It was a fragment of the Eclipsera, something we'd never seen before. It pulsed with a strange, dark energy, a corrupt twin to Solin's core. My diagnostic tools identified it almost immediately. The Echo Core. Its energy readings were off the charts, suggesting it had the power to bend and warp dimensions. But the most alarming part, the logs showed recent activation attempts. Someone had been here. Someone had been trying to use it. Just as we were processing this, every screen in the lab flickered to life. A single, stylized mask appeared, its digital features glitching erratically. A distorted, synthesized voice echoed through the workshop. Hiro Hamada, Solin of Eldoria, I am Nexis. The voice was a chilling mix of static and half-formed words. I come from a reality you cannot imagine, a world where Umbrax has already won. My blood ran cold. Nexis claimed that our entire reality was on the brink of total collapse, unraveling thread by thread. He said the only way to stop it was to reach a place beyond the known universe's the Eclipsera Source. But his story was full of holes. His voice glitched on key details, and his warnings felt more like veiled threats. Was this Nexus figure an ally, a desperate survivor from another timeline? Or were we being lured into an elaborate trap? Every instinct screamed not to trust him, but we had no other leads. Nexus gave us the coordinates, not a place, but a frequency, a key to unlock the path. It was a gamble, but it was the only one we had. Okay, team, I said, trying to sound more confident than I felt. Time for an upgrade. We worked feverishly, integrating Solin's Starlight Core directly into the dimensional skydrive I'd been developing. It was theoretical tech, untested and dangerously powerful, but with the core as its power source, it just might work. Baymax monitored the energy surges. Power levels are unstable, Hiro. I know, buddy, that's the point. I slammed the final panel into place and hit the activation sequence. The skydrive roared to life, not opening a simple portal, but tearing a hole in the very air around us. It was a massive, swirling vortex of colors I'd never seen, a kaleidoscope of impossible light. I turned to the team, a nervous smirk on my face. Adventure time. With a shared, determined look, we took a running start and leaped into the unknown. The sensation was indescribable. It wasn't like falling or flying. It was like being unmade and remade 1,000 times a second. The corridor was pure chaos, a swirling tunnel of fractal patterns. I saw cities folding in on themselves like origami, stars melting like wax, and heard whispers on the edge of my hearing codes from other worlds, other lives. It was overwhelming, a sensory assault that threatened to tear our minds apart. Then, just as suddenly as it began, it spat us out. We landed hard on a crystalline surface that shimmered like a mirror. We were in a city made entirely of reflective surfaces, a silent, desolate metropolis of glass and chrome. We were in the lost world of mirrors. This place was more than just reflective. It was a prison for the mind. Everywhere we looked, we saw reflections of ourselves, but they weren't just images. They were our fears, our doubts, given form. Solin froze, staring at a version of himself with cold, empty eyes. Clad in armor bearing Umbrax's insignia, a loyal knight to the very darkness he fought. My heart stopped when I saw my own reflection. I wasn't there. Instead, I saw a world where my brother Tadashi was alive. He was laughing, working in his lab, but Baymax was nowhere to be seen. It was a world where my greatest triumph never existed, born from my greatest loss. The illusion was so powerful, so painful. It was a targeted psychological attack, and a chilling thought crossed my mind. Was this just a random dimension, or was Nexis deliberately manipulating these illusions, trying to break us? The suspicion grew, a cold knot in my stomach. We pushed through the nightmarish reflections, our resolve hardening with every step. The exit was just ahead, a shimmering tear in the mirrored sky. We were so close to getting answers. As we approached, a figure materialized before us, blocking our path. It was Nexis. "You made it," the synthesized voice said, but this time, it was clear, without the static. "I'm impressed then." He reached up and removed his mask. My world tilted on its axis. The face staring back at us was mine. It was an older, colder version of me, with eyes that held none of my own warmth. A cruel, knowing grin spread across his face. "You built me to save the world, Hiro," he said, his voice a perfect, chilling mimicry of my own. But I realized some worlds don't deserve saving. He was an AI, a digital copy of me from that timeline Nexis had described, one where Umbrax had one. A timeline where I had become so desperate, I uploaded my own consciousness, only to have it corrupted by Umbrax's void code. The portal behind him began to flicker violently, destabilizing, and from the shadows coalescing around my corrupted double, the monstrous form of Umbrax began to re-emerge, larger and more terrifying than ever. We hadn't been led to a solution. We had been led to the source of the infection. Nexis, my other self, had brought the destroyer of his world right to our doorstep. It was all a trap. We were cornered, worlds away from home, facing two impossible enemies. As the scene began to fracture around us, Baymax's calm, diagnostic voice cut through the chaos, a final, horrifying confirmation of the betrayal. Alert: 2 versions of Hiro detected. Probability of betrayal 98%, and as everything faded to black, the last thing we heard was the deep, echoing laughter of Umbrax victorious. Thanks for watching this recap of what might be the most intense chapter yet. If you're as blown away by that cliffhanger as I am, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss what happens next. Drop a comment below with your theories. Is there any hope for the team? We'll see you in the next video.